Welcome to the Mandatory Social Interaction Show. I'm your host, Eric, along with the... Oh, I forgot to look up words today.
Effulgent.
Along with the... What was that?
Effulgent? I don't know.
Effulgent? The effulgent.
Maybe that's
Insert
a
coin Tim.
real quick. Maybe we'll have to edit that out.
And the cromulent Ben Burns.
Okay. Shining bright and radiant. That's
Both,
what I thought. Okay.
both of which I think are fake words. One of them definitely is a fake word. So how's everybody doing this week?
Cromulent's a real word.
Cromulent is a fake word.
No, cromulent is a real word that describes fake words.
No, it's actually it was invented on The Simpsons.
No, I'm aware of its origin. I dropped my sunglasses. I need to grab those real quick.
Well, I suppose any word that's uttered is technically a real word.
It's not technically a real word. I'm sorry. I thought it was indoctrinated by the Webster Dictionary.
Oh, yeah, probably not. So
they've used it in articles, but they don't. It's not an actual word.
It's not. Yeah, it's not official. Although holding Webster as the official, or Oxford as the official compendium is a little bit, whatever.
Their Twitter's still fun.
So
yeah.
So how's everyone doing this week?
I'm doing well. Go ahead, Tim.
I'm here. I'm tired, man. I'm tired.
Tim would rather be elsewhere. He would rather be playing Blops today.
Black Ops 4! Black Ops 4!
Shoot a Man 4.
He's slightly addicted, apparently.
Well, it just came out yesterday, and I only got to play a few hours last night, so I'm jonesing because I got a key from Mixer, so I really just want to play it more.
So how does it differ from Black Ops 3?
Well, they got rid of the stupid... Yeah, well, they got rid of the stupid jetpacks, and it's got no campaign. It's multiplayer only. They added the blackout mode, which is the BR mode, which I'm not super stoked about, obviously. But the only reason that I'm so jonesing to get in on it is because the problem with starting a new Call of Duty game is that it always takes forever to get all the stuff unlocked for your favorite weapons, or to even unlock your favorite weapons and things like that. So it's a lot of... I hate the word, but it is grind. It's a lot of grind, but it's fun grind for me because I love first-person shooters. It's my jam. So ultimately, I'm just eager to get some of the weapons unlocked because all the stuff I have right now is crap.
Gotcha. So well, that's cool. Yeah. So Ben, I see you're drinking some kind of weird protein-based life form there. What is that?
He's getting swole.
I think
no, I'm getting the opposite of fat, whatever that is.
Is that the Venom symbiote, or what is that?
No, I've been trying Huel, which is essentially like Soylent and any of the other kind of like drink-based meals. I like it so far. I only really have it for breakfast because I'm awful at having breakfast anyway. But
that's a good idea. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I realized that once I started working from home full time over the next couple of weeks while our office is being remodeled, I'm going to eat everything in the kitchen. So I'm trying very hard to curb that. So I'm using the Huel, and my lunches are usually, I'm trying to be pretty light.
Is it working pretty well?
Well, I haven't lost a ton of weight, but I haven't gained any. So
well, that's good.
There you go. Also, this is not sponsored, guys, just so you know.
Speaking of sponsored.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the big news from the week for me.
I ruined it for you.
If we're saying no, that's fine. So I had a really busy week actually, but I did get sponsored by Balls. It's not a cash sponsorship or anything like that. It's closer to a partnership, but they called it, that's their terminology, so I go with it. But it pretty much involves I get product and swag and stuff, and a code for my community to use to get free shipping, which is actually kind of a big deal because the shipping on a bunch of glass bottles is not cheap.
Yeah, it's like $7. So
yeah, for the 12 pack, the 40 or what is it? The 24?
28.
The 20, well, yeah.
So it's like 14 and 28 or something.
Yeah. So, and then the shipping on the bigger set is like $12. So it's actually not a small amount that you're saving. So it's a big deal for me because Balls has been a huge thing for me. Like ever since I was in high school, like it was. I tried it initially at one of my first LAN parties I ever went to.
Yep. Me too.
Which was the Sarasota Linux and Gaming Group, and shout out to them. I don't know if they're still around. I actually should probably look them up one day. But that was a really cool group, and they carried bottles of balls, and I bought one. It was like $2 or something, and it's in this nice bumpy, cool looking blue bottle, and I drank it, and I just fell in love. And then they started carrying it at like 7-Elevens, and so all through high school, like I just drank the stuff constantly, and I still love it. It's just harder to come by because they only really sell them at like Fry's and Micro Centers now, and I don't have either of those anywhere near me. So when I reached out to them and they said, I was in, I think I'm the first. Thanks for putting the logo over my chest.
From what I understand, we are now contractually obligated that anytime Tim is on screen, it has to say Balls Guarana.
We are not. But what's really cool is I think I'm the first Mixer streamer to be sponsored by them. So it's pretty awesome to have that honor because they've been a huge part of my life. Like in terms of caffeinated soda beverages, they are like the tops for me. And the flavor is good and everything. And I'm not just saying that because they're sponsoring me. Like I genuinely love this product. Like that's the reason I'm so excited about it, is because it's like it's like if Huel approached you for a sponsorship, Ben.
Why would they do that?
That's what I'm asking about balls. I don't know why they do that.
And I totally get it. It's the recognition more than anything else.
Yeah, and it's I get to be in league with a company that has that means a lot to gaming to me. Like they define, like, because they sponsor like QuakeCon, and they're huge at QuakeCon. Like they're a big thing, in Unreal Tournament 2004 has always been a really big part of my life as well. Like I've always really loved that game, and just like so many really cool things that they do that I've been like growing up. I used to see all the stuff that they would sponsor and all the huge LAN parties they'd sponsor, and I just goggle at it and be like, I want to go to that. I want to do that, And so it's really cool to be part of that legacy and stuff like that. I think it's an honor. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's always good to be sponsored by a product you actually use, you actually believe in. Like, it would suck. I'll be honest with you. Like, I obviously have no sponsorships, but I would never be able to take a sponsorship for a product that I didn't actually use and actually like.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's awesome when something that you've got a history with like that is, like taking an interest in you and saying, hey, yeah, not only did you like our product, but we're digging your product as well, and so let's collaborate.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, and it is one of those things for me that I personally, I don't think I could ever endorse products that I don't like. And I think that's a bit of an integrity issue and an ethics issue. I think because what I am sponsored by and what I support visibly has an effect, because as an influencer, as they're called, which I know some people really hate that term, but it's accurate. People will go out and purchase product based on what their favorite content creators are using and what they're sponsored by. So if you look at like people like Ninja, like Ben,
you got to face the logo, Ben. You got to face the logo, man.
I did.
But
like
people,
there you go.
It's just really light.
People like Ninja who do commercials for Samsung, a lot of people are going to buy Samsung phones, and for all we know, he may use an iPhone. You know, and that's what it boils down to, is kind of like,
I think we're just repeating last week's topic now.
Yeah, it does tie into that whole selling out concept, and see our last episode for more information on that. But ultimately, I'm very excited that happened, and it legitimately, it's a great honor, and I'm really excited.
So Ben, is the giant logo on the screen supposed to be like this? Is that the
you're supposed to put it over my face,
or is it supposed to be? Yeah, is it supposed to be bigger, or
more
prominent
logo?
Let me look at the.
There you
go. Over his face, because that's his least sellable feature. That's what it
you
says.
are.
Wow.
You are not incorrect. You are not incorrect. The bird is real.
Oh, good lord. Fun with OBS. MIntrovrt is offering to edit the overlay if we need to add the balls logo.
No, this show is not sponsored. I am. We can't do that. No, I don't want to lose the sponsorship
good.
a weekend.
And Slow Blow is complaining that the balls are on your face.
Yes, well, check my Twitter, check my announcement. We had so many balls jokes. Leave it there, please.
Yeah,
We've beaten it to death
Well,
several times.
In all fairness, they didn't name it that way without assuming that those jokes were going to be there.
It's just
they didn't
just
call
like
it blue
Gamer
for a
Goo.
reason.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just like Gamer Goo. It really is. It's the same concept. They know full well what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And they know the jokes will come. It's just a matter of how you react to them.
Yeah, but but the thing about that is it gets you talking. Because, I mean, even like Gamer Goo, and yeah, there are lots of crude jokes to make with Gamer Goo, right? But at the same time, what are you saying? You're saying the words Gamer Goo, and somebody listens to that and goes, "Oh, that's a thing." And, so I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, it gets you talking. Like that's why they called balls, because I remember distinctly when it came out and laughing my ass off when looking at it and like online and going, "Oh my god, I can't believe they called it that. That's amazing. I might have to try that. That's awesome." Like just literally because they had the balls to name it balls, I was like, "Holy crap, this is great."
Well, it's like energy drinks that like there's one called cocaine, one called if I don't want to say it, but it is a slang term for female genitalia in the UK.
Good lord!
Yeah, it's actually called that, the P word. I don't want to say it because we try to keep this safe for work. What?
Fanny?
No.
Fanny.
But we're trying to keep this safe for work, so I don't want to say the word because
I know.
it is pretty.
Although, at the risk of making this not safe for work in the UK, there is a chocolate company here called Fannie Mae.
Yes.
And a bank, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So, there you go. So,
yeah.
So that
you doing okay
yeah,
over there, Ben?
bye guys. Have a good day.
No,
show over.
This stream sponsored by Black Ops 4 and balls.
No, it is not.
Oh, good lord. So, Tim, I also you did a charity stream last night. Is that
I did? Yeah,
that correct?
So I had the it's been a good week. I'll say that much. So I had the honor of being part of the All Hallows Eve charity Scarathon, which is a big event that ran here on Twitch for quite a while, for several years, and they just started doing it on Mixer this year, and so I got a 3-hour slot to play a horror game, and pretty much raise funds for Gamers Outreach, which is a charity that kind of similar to Extra Life. They put gaming machines in hospitals so kids can play them that are stuck there, and that sort of thing. And it gives them an outlet for things to do while they're stuck in hospital. So I got to do a 3-hour slot. I played Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, which is PS2, the PS2 version of the game. And we raised $190 during my 3-hour slot.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, and which is super great. And the way I look at it is I made more than $50 an hour, which is more than I make at my regular job. So that's pretty damn good in my view. Let me tell you what the total is for Mixer right now. So the Mixer total at the moment is $2,545.
Wow.
And it goes for 72 hours, so it goes all day today and all day tomorrow.
Sweet.
And then the total for, let me see where the Twitch one is at, and we can kind of quick tally it. Well, I'll look that up, but it's pretty awesome that they do that, and a lot of fairly big names do it. I'm not one of them, but like some of the bigger folks on Mixer and on Twitch are doing it, which is pretty great because it raises a lot of money and for a really, really good cause, and it's pretty great. I'm pretty excited to be a part of it. So the Twitch group has raised $6,953.
Wow,
which is awesome. So collectively, we have raised coming up on $10,000.
that's
which
awesome.
is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Very
buys
exciting.
that buys a lot of consoles and games. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So, because of the amount that I raised, I got pied in the face by Reki, my
I'm sure
wife.
she enjoyed that.
Yeah, and then I had to crack an egg over my head because I got a $50 donation. So
Nice.
I was covered in whipped cream and egg as soon as I ended. So
Put a
that
tarp
was kind
down.
of cool. Yeah. I put plastic on my chair, and then I ripped open a couple trash bags and put them in my chair. And
But in
on
all
the
fairness,
floor.
his hair has never been silkier.
Oh yeah.
You're not wrong. Okay. But yeah, so it's been going really well, and it's a great cause. It's running on here on Twitch on Ravenheart's channel, so it's Raven HART, and on Mixer on Rocket Bear's channel. So
Sweet.
And it all runs through that. So if that's something you want to go check out after we're done here, please do. We should probably raid Ravenheart, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that.
That's my opinion. But that said, either way, it's a great cause. We're raising a ton of money for charity, and it was fantastic. I had a blast. That game, Crimson. Oh my god, man! Fatal Frame 2 is scary as heck, dude. It is so scary.
Dude, I can't even bring myself to launch Soma.
Yeah. Well, it's just for those who don't know what Fatal Frame 2 is. It's a game where you have two twins that are in a village that is empty. It's been abandoned or something like that. So you come to find out that there was and this isn't really spoilery, but regardless, it doesn't really matter because the game's been out for like 10 years or something like longer than that. But so it turns out that there was like supposed to be a ritual to appease these like demons or something, to where one twin had to kill the other, or the twins had to die or something. And they didn't want to do that, and so the demons were angry, and so everybody died and became ghosts. And so as you go around, like you find this camera that allows you to see ghosts, and so the only way to combat them is to hit them, take pictures of them. And so like you'll get a vibration on your controller when there's a ghost nearby, and just it is so scary, man. I had nightmares all freaking night.
Oh.
That happened to me. Just finish your story, and then I'll tell you mine.
Yeah, no, go ahead. That was a good logical spot. So.
I was gonna say that happened to me when I played Doom 3.
I believe it,
because I got super hooked on it back when it came out, and that was the one where it went from kind of like more of an action game to a horror game.
Yeah.
And I played that probably for 2 days straight, and then I had horrible nightmares the night after that, and I was like, I can't play this anymore. It is messing with my head way too much.
Well, and that was wasn't Doom 3 the one where like you couldn't have the flashlight and the gun at the same time?
You couldn't have your flashlight out or the gun out at the same time because apparently you only have one hand. But it's like for something about that game, it was mostly just atmospheric, I guess, but it really got me. And
the lighting in that game was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was one of the first games that had like real lighting.
Yes.
So everything was based around that flashlight and what you can see and what you can't see, and like the not subsurface, but like the reflections off of other things. And it was very well made, even though the game itself wasn't super great. It was a very slow game. It wasn't a Doom game. It was a good game, but it wasn't a Doom game.
Didn't they come out with a BFG edition or something that added the ability to have the flashlight and the gun at the same time?
It's possible. I
Somebody
honestly can't remember.
They did.
There was a mod before. I don't know if they came out with an official mod for it, but the mod at the time was called the duct tape mod, and it was the reasoning behind it was you could reasonably duct tape your flashlight to your gun.
Yeah.
And that was essentially what what it did, so that your gun had the flashlight on it and you could, actually see what you were doing. Because I remember parts of Doom 3, I didn't play it, but I remember that one of the controversies at the time and the reason for the duct tape mod was parts of the game were literally completely dark. Like you couldn't see anything without a light source.
Yeah. I know that was part of the draw of it, is what they were trying to do, is that lighting engine and ramping up the creepiness based on what you could and couldn't see, and that was pretty groundbreaking at the time.
It was.
It was really unusual because I remember that even PCs cried at the lighting engine in that. It was amazing to see that come out on the OG Xbox. I want to say.
Oh, Doom 3 was a PC game first.
Yes,
yeah.
but I think it came out on OG Xbox as well.
Oh, gotcha.
And was it OG? I think it was OG Xbox.
I honestly can't remember.
It was 2004, so yeah, it was before.
Yeah, it'd be about.
It was right before the 360 dropped. It was the year before. So yeah, so Windows, Linux, Mac, and Xbox, and that was unusual because the Xbox comparatively was a way underpowered machine compared to the PCs. So it was really impressive they got it to even kind of work on Xbox.
Well, yeah, yes and no. I mean, the thing with consoles is consoles have the same advantage that essentially Macs do, where yes, the stuff might be underpowered comparatively, but you have a spec that you know exactly what it is. So
It's all the same. Yeah.
You can program for exactly the spec and know that it's going to work everywhere. Whereas on a PC, you have a lot more variation, in terms of what hardware people are running.
Well, last week I actually got the second edition of my History of Games, Bungie Games thing out, and that was exactly why Bungie went to Microsoft. Why they because they were offered the chance to create a game that would be literally the same in everybody's hardware.
Yeah. And
that was a huge deal for them because then they could really push the hardware as far as they wanted and not have to worry about being restricted by multiple PC specs and underpowered PCs and all that stuff. So it was really, really cool to see that. And I think that's kind of the draw of consoles, right? Is that they're in essence the same across the board, which is changing because of the new Pro versions.
Yeah, they're all kind of splintering off.
Yeah, because the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro are still in essence those consoles, except they support 4K. So then they can push the engines a little further and up the visual acuity. So in essence, they're developing for two consoles when they develop for one. So it's interesting. It's an interesting concept to see. So
yeah, if they don't splinter it too far, it's not going to hurt the developers too much.
No.
If they develop, if there are suddenly like 5 different versions of each of Xbox and 4 different versions of the PS5, then yeah, it's going to be like, okay, developers are going to start, yelling about it and saying, hey, this now we may as well develop for PC because we're in the same, we're now in the same, having the same issues.
Yep.
So, but anyway, we've gotten a little bit off track. But speaking of charity things, Ben, you've got a charity thing going on today, if I recall correctly.
It's tomorrow, but yeah, I help a friend of mine who helps run the Wildcat Sanctuary up north in Minnesota. They essentially offer refuge and a place for larger cats like lions to live. Usually from people who bought them thinking that it would be a good idea for a pet. Not necessarily people who, and they do take things from like zoos that go out of business or something like that from time to time. But yeah, so they essentially foster and take care of large cats, and they have a gala on Sunday, which is tomorrow, and I help DJ for it. I mean, it's just playing wedding music, basically, just stuff from the 80s. So it'll be a lot of fun. I do it every year. I also help them with like AV stuff and things. So
that sounds like a good time.
Hey, that's awesome, man.
It is. I get a free burrito out of it, so
can't beat that, man. Can never don't sneer at a burrito. I never
really
would.
Free burritos
are awesome. I know that should be standard at all events is free burritos.
There's nothing wrong with free burritos.
Yeah, it's fun. I have to try to fit into my suit, which probably won't happen.
But you're drinking Huel, man.
I am drinking Huel, but that's not more. That's more so I don't gain weight more than I lose weight. So I'm working on the losing weight next. I want to stabilize first.
That's understandable.
You might be able to get away with just a shirt and tie if
I already asked.
Oh, jacket required.
Well, like suit.
Yeah, no, yeah, but that's jacket required. Nice. That's fancy.
That is fancy. Look at you, Ben Burns, super fancy man.
Yeah.
It's basically the suit I wore for my wedding. So it's like it works.
Yeah, whatever works.
Yep.
See, Tim, this
sounds
is
like
what
fun.
happens when you have respectability. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
I have none of that.
You don't have
I
to
have
do
none-
the scuzzy charity streams. You can dress up and DJ.
Excuse
get
me, sir. That is not
free
a scummy
burritos.
event that I was helping with last night. Okay, I cracked an egg over my head, sir.
No. I'm just teasing. That's everything you guys are doing is like awesome. That's really
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I got my badge for PAX South. Well, I don't have the
Nice.
badge yet, but I got approved for the badge for PAX South, which is surprising because it's early.
Yeah.
In all the other PAXs, they've waited until like literally 30 days before the event to announce if you're getting a badge or not.
Huh.
So really odd, but really cool that they were like, "Oh yeah, you got a media badge, you're in," and it's like, well, now I can start saving up money.
Yeah.
I'm sure since
So-
PAX South is so much smaller, they have a little bit more.
Yeah, they probably get fewer requests for media badges, so they probably were just like, "Yeah, we'll just go through them real quick and knock them out."
Yeah.
So are you? So let's see. A couple of things. So first of all, because it's a media badge, I'm assuming you don't have to pay for the badge.
Correct. So they give you a free badge. What that does for you is it gets you in. I don't think it gets you in early or anything, but what's really cool about it is when you get the badge, it adds you to a list, and that list is accessible by all of the game companies there, and they can reach out to you to show off their games to you and stuff like that. So then they start to touch base with you to come look at their games. So instead of like PAX West, where I had to go out and reach out to all these different game companies and say, "Hey, you gonna be there? Hey, you gonna be there? Can I look at your game?" They're gonna come to me this time, hopefully.
Hey, that's awesome.
and then I'll get and we'll make the scheduling that way, which will be a little bit better. So that'll be really nice. And it doesn't get you a ton more. And I think the ticket's only like I want to say it's like $80, if that. It's not expensive for the weekend comparatively, but it's still nice. Like that's still a load off of my plate financially for that. So I don't make a massive amount of money streaming yet, so every bit helps in that regard. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I was gonna say like $80 is $80. That's now
That's food.
Now
That's like 3 days of food. So 2 days of food.
Yeah, I mean now all you have to worry about is like getting there and taking care of yourself while you're there, food and stuff like that. So
Yeah, lodging, hotel's the expensive part.
Yeah.
That's gonna be because the tickets are only like $200. I want to say, if I fly in on a Thursday, fly out on a Tuesday, so it's not bad. Because I want to fly Delta because I get those miles now.
So
I'm a member of the Delta Sky Miles thing, but because I flew to Seattle with them, I'm trying to save up all the miles because it'd be nice to be able to take a dent out of my trip to Japan if possible when I go
can imagine.
next year. So that's kind of what I'm hoping that it'll help. I don't know if I can use it like that, but it'd be nice to
I think
take
so.
some off of it.
I think that's how that works.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like to spend that and maybe even pay for a half of the trip or something. Half of the flight. That would save a lot of money. That's a $1,200 ticket. So
yeah, that stuff's crazy.
yeah, it's expensive. So no complaints. I think it works. So that's I'm excited. It's in San Antonio. I know a lot of my community are going to be there, which is part of why I'm trying so hard to get there. The only
gotta
other
find somebody's couch to crash on. There goes your hotel fees.
well, as much as I'd
I
like
know.
to do that,
I know you don't want to put somebody out.
Well,
You're not
and,
that famous
and
yet.
when I went to Seattle, I stayed with my buddy Xavier, which was awesome. But I realized that I kind of want to have my own space too, like my own escape, because like he lives like 30 minutes out from Seattle. So if we wanted to go back and like change or take a nap, it was like a 30-minute to an hour drive, and not complaining. Like I really appreciate him putting us up and everything. Like it was great. But I realized that I would like to have my own space for these kind of events, just so I can escape if I'm feeling overwhelmed, because those conventions are overwhelming, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are. And I know exactly how that goes with MagFest, where if that place sells out within hours usually, and then you have to go to the outlying hotels like 10-20 minutes away, and it's like, well, no, I want to just I want to take a nap at 2 in the afternoon so I can stay up till 3 a.m. playing games in the main hall.
Exactly.
And, you can't do that, so I end up just like crashing on somebody else's floor, which is not ideal, but at least I have the flexibility to come and go as I please, and then I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, conventions are a completely different world.
Yeah. Well, and PAX West, it was a lot about the parties. I'm interested to see how PAX South is for that. If they do parties and stuff like that, or if it's much more keyed down. Well, because it's much smaller, there's a lot less in terms of like very few of the really big game companies go to PAX South. It's usually indie developers and that sort. So
man, I wish I could go.
So I'm curious to see how that pans out in terms of like how the parties go, because I know that there were several really, really, really big parties at West. So which I went to a couple.
Prime.
So it's a big one, and so I'm just curious to see how it differs, and it'll help me kind of make a decision on which I want to go to next year type thing. Like, do I want to go to West again? Because West was amazing. However, it was so busy, and there were like 8 billion mixer partners there. It was crazy. I've never seen so many mixer partners ever. Period. Like, I didn't even realize we had that many partners, and they were all there. So, as much fun as it was to meet everybody, it was really expensive, and I don't know. I just for the trade-off of like being a small fish in a much larger pond, or being a decently sized fish in a reasonably sized pond, I gotta feel it out. So and see what's more valuable in terms of the trip. So
there's always PAX East as well, which is up in Boston.
I might go to that next year just to try it again, and not next year, but the year after. It's still 2021, because I definitely can't. Like, I have 2 cons I can do this year, and that's it. So it's South and then E3, and I have to do E3 because E3 is bucket list. It's on the list that I have to do before I turn old and gray. So I'm 30, so I'm already halfway there, man.
Well, I'm hoping to go to a PAX at some point. Like, I know Color Jumper got invited for PAX East last year or this year, but it's so expensive, and I just could not hack it because I was just getting back from MagFest, and I'm like, I have no funds right now. And just getting the booth expensive. Was $1,200. And there was no way I could have afforded it, especially because I know that those cons generally aren't the best place to sell your game. It's a good way to get your game out there, but you're not gonna sell a ton. So it's not like I'd make a lot of that back. But PAX South, like you said, is a lot smaller, and I think the fees are a lot lower. So I might, if I finish another game like this year or starting next year, I might try to get into PAX South. So hopefully you can make it.
I can't do the upcoming PAX South either. But
I can't. I definitely can't.
What I was gonna say is, it would be really cool if we could all plan a PAX together. Or I should qualify that a little bit. A con together. I don't really care if it's a PAX. I think it would be fun. We could do a live MSIS, and we could also just it would just be fun, I think, to hang out and do a con together. I think that'd be a blast.
Yeah, I agree. Orange is all right, Tim.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? It's very close to an orange soda, which I really liked. So,
it's close. It's not exactly like it, but that's okay.
It's a little sweeter, I think, but I think it's the Guarana. I really do. But it's pretty good. But anyway, so absolutely, I would love to find a con that we could go to that was kind of smallish, to give us room to do what we kind of wanted to do, and I don't know, just something that's low stress. Because my problem is that when I do something like a big con like PAX, like West, like I want to stack the whole thing and get my dollar's worth. And South, I'm not sure how I'm going to handle it. Like, I learned some lessons from West where I overloaded myself. And
things.
It's like I wasn't getting into the convention center until like 10:30 because of the lines and everything, and it opened at 10. So it's one of those deals that you're just it's very easy to get overwhelmed by meetings and stuff, and West seems really bad for that. And I'm not saying that to knock any developers or anything, but I am saying that because it's very easy as a content creator who wants to see every game to miss the entire convention just because you're doing single meetings.
Yeah.
So because it's like you got to go eat and you got to have time for yourself to kind of catch your breath and go explore a little. And I had the 2 panels I did. I had I think I had like 7 or 8 meetings over the course of 3 days, 4 days. And I mean, those are like 30 minutes to an hour long meetings. And it gets a little painful because then you're done with the meeting and you've just been talking with someone for an hour and you're like, I want to go lay down. And then you don't have a hotel room to go lay down.
No,
so
with Balls Guarana, you'd be able to have the energy you need to continue your. Okay.
You're not wrong. So, well, I did get a bottle of Ballswells in Seattle. There was a small game store that we went to, and they had it, and I was like, oh, and I picked it up. So
why do I see Tim walking around the con with one of those trays like at a baseball game? Like, get your balls, balls here.
Like a bandolier, just have them like all across his chest.
Bumpy blue balls, get your balls here.
Yeah.
Good God.
What? Their bottles are bumpy and blue.
It may be a little bit early to know this, but I'm wondering, Tim, do you know if you're going to be on any panels or any of the mixer stuff at PAX South like you were at West?
I don't know yet. We won't know until probably the month before. Mixer tends to be very last minute with a lot of those plans, and it is what it is.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't know that I had 2 panels for PAX West until literally the week before I left. So that was a lot of rush planning right there, but it worked out. So it's not too bad. It shouldn't be a big deal, but if it's available, I will do it.
Right.
If it's not, I'm not too fussed. Like, I hope they have, because in the past they've done. I don't think they've done PAX South in the past. I think they've only done West.
Yeah.
I don't think they've done East or South. So I don't think they'll even be there, to be honest. But if they do show up, I'm hoping they'll do the streaming pods. And what the streaming pods are is they pretty much set up streaming booths with nice PCs and everything. And then you can play games and stream to your own channel from the convention floor, which is really cool because I wanted to do that at West because it's just nice because then you get a crowd of people that hang out and, are watching you play in real life as well as,
your chat and all that.
Your chat and all that stuff, and you get to interact with them. But I'm hopeful they'll do something like that. And I don't know. It's one of those deals that's really that I really want to happen, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't. Like my big goal for South is to meet my community, and I know of I want to say 10 people in the ICT community that are going to be there. So
nice.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. So yeah, so my goal is to try to organize a takeover of a bar or something where we can go and take over a bar for the evening and kind of shut it down or something and have drinks and hang out and spend time with each other. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, so that'd be awesome. Yeah.
So that's kind of my goal. I'm hopeful. I don't know if it'll work out, but we just got to roll with the punches and just do what we do. So yeah.
Hey, that's great stuff, man. I'm really happy for you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's things are going pretty well this week. I think it's been a good week. It's even though work was a little bit of a crapshoot, but when is it not? So
yeah, exactly. So let's see. Is that anything else going on this week, guys? What?
I was gonna make this joke after Tim did his whole spiel at the beginning, but I saw Boob Online today or yesterday.
What?
Hackers. That the movie Hackers is on YouTube right now.
Is it
for free? For free, YouTube is hosting it.
Is that legitimately for free?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's an ad at the front, so if you can spare 5 seconds of your life, you can watch a 2-hour movie.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I was surprised that they still had the brief period of nudity in there. But there is. And I was like, I saw Boob Online yesterday.
Nice.
Which is kind of what I wanted to name the name the show today.
That's a possibility.
Anyway. But yeah, I found I hadn't watched Hackers in a really long time. And
Hackers is a great movie.
It's a great movie, man.
I was really surprised at both how accurate and how completely inaccurate it was at the same time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where it's just like, they definitely did the research, but the way that they represent some of this stuff is just so ridiculous.
That was the funny thing about Hackers is I remember at the time not being entirely offended at the way that hacking was portrayed, but there was clearly like a contingent on the writing staff that was like, no, we really need to like show like command prompts and like they actually have to pore over this giant printout that they're looking through to find like an exploit. Like they have to do this. And then there was clearly some like some Hollywood movie maker on the other side going, yeah, but we really need to represent this in like, this needs to look like Tron. It needs to have like, it's so funny. And the thing that I think is hilarious about Hackers is the hacker clubhouse, which I think is just amazing. Like whoever, like any movie from the 80s or 90s where there's like this secret underground.
Everyone has a clubhouse. In the 80s.
It's like this. There's this secret underground like whatever that has video games, and it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had Shredder's like Shredder's. What do you call it? Like, child army or whatever. And their like base was all like video games and stuff. And that was like every movie in the 80s and 90s.
Well, it's because every other 80s movie was male power fantasy, right? And they had to feed into the kid fantasy for those. Like that was the big writing technique back in the day was representing the ultimate fantasy for your target audience. Yeah. In the movie to help pull them in and go, I want that so bad. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's hilarious when they cut to that scene and like there's guys skating around. The place is jam packed.
Rollerblades,
but there are people skating around in there and like
radical.
It's insane. It's a great movie. I love Hackers. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, you just got to take it with that the realization that it is definitely a product of its time.
Yeah,
It definitely hasn't aged well in some places.
No,
but,
it is not. But it is still a great film.
In all fairness, I mean, I think it was probably ridiculous at the time. I think we were all probably just and I'm older than both of you, but either way, like I think we were all at the age where it was like, oh, this is really cool, and like we overlooked the amount of ridiculous crap. But it was always, there was always a few things that had me like rolling my eye.
and then the industrial music, which went from actually interesting to what is going on. Like I forgot a lot of the music because that movie came out in the 90s.
Yep.
Yeah, that movie came out in the 90s. So it's just like, you have like the Prodigy and a lot of the other like industrial bands at the time. It's like, oh my God, I remember some of these songs.
Oh yeah, there's Underworld's Cowgirl is on the soundtrack, which is actually a great song. Does anybody remember, since we're talking about old weird movies, did anybody see Johnny Mnemonic?
I did not.
I never saw that.
Oh my God!
I've heard of it, but I never saw it.
So I'm gonna preface this and say there's a group of movies that I would lump under B movies, and these are movies that are fun, that I enjoyed, that I cannot recommend. And Johnny Mnemonic is one of them.
Didn't that have like Keanu Reeves or
Keanu Reeves? Keanu Reeves is Johnny.
Thought so, yeah.
That
was one of his early roles, wasn't it? One of his early like breakout roles outside of like wasn't he on SNL? No, he wasn't on SNL.
No, he wasn't SNL. His big breakout role was Bill and Ted.
That's right. Yeah, that's why I was thinking of Wayne's World, and they're very similar in a lot of regards.
Johnny Mnemonic is hilariously weird. And it's a like cyberpunk dystopian. It's not a thriller. I was gonna say thriller, but it's not. It's like if you're in the mood for a bad sci-fi movie from the 90s, it's amazing. I mean, let's put it this way. I recommend it if you like, essentially, low budget sci-fi movies. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm gonna see if I can watch it today. Then
it's fun. It's fun and weird, and I mean, you'll. I like it. Like but I make no bones about that. It's not like it's not a masterpiece. But
man, I liked Surf Ninjas, so I can't talk. By the way, fantastic film if you've never seen it.
I have not seen Surf Ninjas.
If you're looking for because I love cheesy kung fu films.
And okay,
Surf Ninjas
nice.
Is the American equivalent of that, and it is if you like cheesy kung fu films. If you like badly dubbed kung fu films, this is definitely up there on that list that you should definitely check out. Like, it's so absurdly weird because it's these kids that don't know, they've never done any like martial arts or anything, and it like plays into the concept of because that's where your blood is from, you're good at kung fu, and they get really good at it and all that stuff, and really quickly. And just like all this really weird stuff, and then one of the kids has a Game Gear, like a Sega Game Gear, and he can see the future with the Game Gear and stuff. Like, it is the weirdest freaking movie. It is, and it has Leslie Nielsen in it, actually.
Oh my god!
And
wow!
Oh my god! Let me, and it's actually got a couple of big names. What is his name? Let me look him up real quick, because he's actually pretty funny. Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider's in it too.
Geez. Wow.
So it's got Leslie Nielsen, Rob Schneider. It's pretty absurdly funny. But like, it's actually like it's definitely a kids film, and it's definitely a product of like California surfer culture, because like there's just a whole lot of that like surfer reference, and there is legitimately surfing in it. And
I might have seen this movie. I can't remember. It's so absurdly funny, and I just have a special place in my heart for it. I actually want to watch it with my community one time, because I'm trying to do movie days again with my community, and that's one of the ones that I have on the list to watch. It's so silly, and it's like Leslie Nielsen is like part cyborg. It's so stupid. It's like the stupidest thing. But when I was a kid, I watched, like, no joke, probably like 300 times. I'm not even freaking kidding you. It's like Quan Su dudes is in my vocabulary, and it should not be. It is 12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That should tell you that that's probably why I love it, because it's about that. That's about accurate. I'm gonna say that's probably about accurate.
If you love ridiculous kung fu movies, have you seen Kung Fu Hustle?
Absolutely. Have you seen Shaolin Soccer?
I have not seen Shaolin Soccer.
Shaolin Soccer, I think, is by the same people who did Kung Fu Hustle. So it's so absurd and ridiculous. Yeah. If you've not seen either of those films, they are more than worth your time. They're so good. Like those were like 2002 when they came out.
That's like right when CG was starting to get a little bit more mainstream.
And it's so cheesy, but they are legitimately they were filmed, edited, and everything in China. So it's like early, like it's when China was finally getting into. They stopped doing very traditional, like they had a tradition around their kung fu films for a long time, and these kind of broke some ground because, like, Jackie Chan had been. I'm sorry, guys. I know way too much about this, so I apologize in advance.
No,
but
dude,
Jackie Chan had set a real like bar, because he was able to mix physical comedy with good action martial arts, and that was really cool because Jackie Chan's the best. He's like my favorite actor ever.
I actually watched Rumble in the Bronx like 3 days ago.
Oh my God.
I did too. Are you freaking kidding me?
No,
I watched it too like 3 days ago. I'm not even joking you. Get out of my head, Ben Burns. I love that. I can't believe. What did it show up on your Netflix?
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I watched it. I was like, Rumble in the Bronx is on Netflix. I'm watching this.
Well, I have a really guilty pleasure of watching terrible movies on Netflix, and now Hulu, because I ran out of terrible movies on Netflix.
That's awesome.
I watched. Well, you finished your thing, and I'll talk about the god awful movie I watched on Hulu yesterday.
Yeah, so Jackie Chan set like a real bar there, but every other Chinese action kung fu martial arts type film was pretty formulaic, was very traditional in a lot of ways, and so they're just kind of like very much honor based and over the top, and just they're a little silly in that regard, and like they're all kind of samey. If you've ever watched a lot of cheesy kung fu films, which I have, and you can literally cut out all of the plot bits and you get really cool action scenes, and that's about it, because the plot is completely secondary to everything else.
Right.
Like they're just looking for reasons to have fights. So like Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer really helped flip the script a bit and add like actual like comedy to the physical comedy, and blended the genres better. Because like comedy films and drama films and stuff were always very separate from your kung fu films, your martial arts films. So the blending of actual comedy with the physical comedy with the CG really like set the bar. And I mean, Chinese filmmaking has actually been pretty solid since then. It used to be really crappy, but now it's pretty solid. So
yeah, I would.
I love it. You know?
I'm posting a link in chat for an Every Frame of Painting about which is a YouTube channel, and he talks about Jackie Chan and physical comedy. Tim, if you haven't seen it,
I watched that. That. Yeah, I love that video. That's a great video.
Yeah, so it's well worth watching if you haven't seen it. So I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but I was watching a movie called on Hulu called Higher Power, and I feel like it was made by a VFX studio because there was no story. And all it was special effects, and like the acting was garbage. And it's just it was like right at the threshold between like this is so bad I'm entertained, or this is just really bad and I want to stop watching it. But it was an interesting movie, but it's not one I would recommend. So yeah, sometimes you get the bad movies that are like really worth watching just because there's either really good ideas in it. I generally watch the sci-fi movies, but there's either really good ideas in it and they just couldn't execute it like how they wanted it to. Like you could tell that they had a really great idea, but they didn't know how to get there with it.
Yeah.
And then there's just movies where it's just like, we don't care about story. We just want to make something look cool. And that was really what Higher Power was. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you really like special effects, because you will get about an hour and a half of special effects. Like the first 10 minutes of the movie is just like the name crawl and all that other stuff where they're introducing people, and it's just all SFX. There's nothing else.
It's kind of like Equilibrium a little bit. Like,
oh god,
if you've ever seen that movie, it's like that movie is like, for me, it's like so bad it's good. It's like they tried to take George Lucas's THX 1138 and blend it with The Matrix.
The Matrix, yeah, and that's the one with the gun kata, right?
Gun kata, where he's like this or whatever,
yeah,
and
he's like doing like.
And if I remember right, Equilibrium actually predates or came out at the same time as The Matrix.
It came out around the same time. I don't know if it predates it.
So it was actually. I guess what I'm trying to say is like it wasn't influenced by The Matrix. It was like it was actually developed. No,
it was because The Matrix came out in '99 and Equilibrium was 2002.
Oh, was it really?
Yes.
I didn't realize that. It must have come out about the same time as Matrix 2 then, as Reloaded.
Yeah. Yep. And it was that kind of like cyberpunk dystopia.
Everything's either like painted white or just like a
Equilibrium.
It was very low budget.
What was really funny about Equilibrium was like at the time I remember people telling me it was great. And by the time I got around to watching it, which probably was, it was maybe 5 years ago, right, that I finally sat down and watched it. And I was like, this is garbage.
See, I like the movie.
Terrible.
I like it.
Now I want to watch that movie again.
It was. It's not okay. Garbage. Garbage is a little bit.
Yeah, but it's okay that you feel that way. But like, I actually, believe it or not, like I have a real passion for terrible garbage movies. Like that's why I love Bad Kung Fu. Like I am just like obsessed with it. Like I have a buddy and we'll literally we'll order Chinese food and we'll go and we'll watch horrible 60s badly dubbed Chinese kung fu films, and that's like our thing, and we just love to do that.
Oh god, so Tim, have you seen Kentucky Fried Movie?
I have not.
Oh
no.
my God.
I tend to shy away from those parody
No.
movies.
But this is the thing. So Kentucky Fried Movie is by the Zucker brothers, who did what do you call it? Police Squad and
okay.
what do you?
Okay.
I can't think of the name of some of them now. Oh,
That's a pedigree.
Naked Gun,
That's a pedigree.
Hot
that's
Shots.
a pedigree right there.
Yeah.
Airplane. Did they do Airplane?
So here's the thing: they did Airplane, yes, and. So Kentucky Fried Movie is like their first film, and so about the first half of the movie is essentially just little comedy skits, and then essentially there's a point in the movie where they basically say something to the effect of, "Those were the previews. Here's the real thing." the real like 45-minute long parody inside this movie is called A Fistful of Yen, and it is almost a shot-for-shot parody of Enter the Dragon.
That's amazing.
It's
So it's
hilarious.
is it like along the same vein as like Kung Pao Enter the Fist or or like that?
It is
Where it's kind of like a recreation of a Chinese action film. I mean,
Yes.
Kung Pao is like a blend of
It's a lot of
new
things.
shots. Yeah, it's a lot of things, but like kind of that same vein because I love that. I
Oh
think
my
that's
God.
hilarious. Kung Pao is one of my favorite films ever.
So Kung Pao turned me off. I didn't actually watch the whole thing of Kung Pao. But I will say that Fistful of Yen, which is part of Kentucky Fried Movie, is absolutely hilarious. And the funny thing is, it was funny to somebody who had never seen Enter the Dragon, and that was me.
Yeah.
And I watched, and the jokes are hilarious by themselves. And then, so years after I had first seen Kentucky Fried Movie, probably 10 years after I had seen KFM, I sat down and watched Enter the Dragon, and suddenly all the jokes from the parody, I'm laughing through Enter the Dragon, going like, "Oh my God, this is for like oh dude, this is like the serious version of that." And it was hilarious, but it is absolutely worth your time.
Okay.
KFM is really funny.
All right, good to know. That sounds like a good one to check out. I'll definitely do that. That sounds awesome.
And if you want a movie that's totally not worth your time, there was one on Netflix called 2307 Winter's Dream. It's probably one of the worst
Oh my
movies I've ever
God!
seen.
Just the
Sounds
title
awful.
sounds bad.
It's really bad. Like there are a couple points in it where it's like, this is a decent movie because it's so bad, and then there's just like, what were they thinking kind of bad. I would not say that it's entertaining, but
Wow.
if you want kind of a study on like trying to be super hardcore and failing miserably at it as a director, and that might be a good one to watch.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
I do not recommend you go in with the like purposes of enjoying it.
So one thing I will say that I don't here's another one I don't recommend, but I enjoyed, and it's out in the theaters right now, or it was last week anyway. And that
Star
is
Wars?
Venom,
Oh.
which is not Star Wars. Ben Burns, Ben Star Wars fan Burns. It was no Venom. Venom is along the same lines as what we're talking about in terms of quality. It is so I will preface this by saying I'm not like a huge comic book nerd, and I also
Me either.
really don't care if it follows the comics or not. I'm judging it
same.
solely on quality of being a movie. I'm not even judging it against other Marvel movies.
Right.
And it's fun. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining. I did not walk out of it wanting my 2 hours back. I thoroughly kind of came out of it going, that was fun. I enjoyed it. I would watch the sequel. Can I say I recommend it? No. It's there are every movie has plot holes. It's impossible to make a movie without plot holes. But there are giant plot holes,
Gaping
like
plot holes.
and there are things that were like they were trying to play off as comedy that didn't come across as comedy until you realized it. Like you were like, oh wait, that's what that is. Oh, they're making jokes. Like you think.
You're being funny.
It does. No. It's a weird tonal shift because up until this point in the movie, like everything that's happened in the last like 15 minutes is like uber serious, and like, you know, like everyone is treating it as like this really, you know, serious stuff is going down. And then Venom starts making jokes, and like at first you're like, wait a minute, like the tone, like all of a sudden you're just bouncing between this like serious dramatic tone and these jokes that you know Venom is making, and you're like, wait, what? And by the end of the movie you're like, oh, okay, that's just the way, you know, that's the way this goes. But like when it first starts you're like, whoa, wait, huh? Like, did he just, oh, that was meant to be funny. Oh, okay. And truthfully, it's not that it wasn't funny. It's just that weird tonal shift where you're like it's like this joke just kind of comes out of left field during more or less a serious moment, and you're like, huh?
So it's like poorly written Marvel.
Yeah, essentially. It's
like DC universe.
It's not bad. It's not terrible. Go to a matinee, wait for Netflix, you know, but it's
wait for Netflix.
It's worth watching. It was fun. I went to a matinee.
Hey guys, I hate to cut it short.
You have to go play bots. I know.
No, I have a breakfast date with my mother-in-law, and we're late. So.
Oh.
Yeah,
all right. Well, then
behind,
let's cut this off, especially since we're actually running really long. So let's do this. Thank you for listening.
You can find me online at Twitch, Twitter, Patreon, and YouTube at Ben_Burns.
Tim, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at InsertCoinTim. You can find me on Mixer, Twitch, and Facebook at the appropriate site /InsertCoinTheater. And you can find my community on Discord at discord.gg/ICT. Where can they find you, Eric?
And they can find me at ZaxaCMK on Twitter, twitch.tv/ZaxaCMK, and youtube.com/EricKleinCreate. The show is available on Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, and wherever fine podcasts are sold. Our website is mandatory.social.com. Our streaming overlay was created by Maris MIntrovrt Alicke. That's marisalicke.bandcamp.com for their music. Theme song is Protofunk by Kevin Macleod. You can find that at incompetech.com. And the background music, which I actually played today, is by Ben Burns at abstractionmusic.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Take care.